Hello and welcome back to the 12 Days of Catastrophe. I don't know why I'm speaking like this, but hello, welcome back, and here's another story today. If you don't know what this series is about, you can click on the first video, which is about the chocolate box, linked right down below. So today I'm sharing with you a very horrible story called the ricotta cheesecake. So I never baked anything, I think, with ricotta, I'm pretty sure, until this year. So that's been like 4 or 5 years of baking, and I never touched ricotta because I always imagined it to be like the tub ones in the little actual cheese shapes, which seemed like a lot of effort to deal with, and I guess like I've never really tried ricotta, so I never considered thinking too much about eating it. I don't know. It was just one of the products that I never thought about using. And then recently this year I tried the ricotta cheesecake, and I actually really liked it. And we have a product that's a pastry at work that was ricotta based as well, so I really liked that, and I was like, oh, I can make something really delicious out of ricotta, like for dessert, so I should probably try it. So I thought maybe I'll make a cheesecake with ricotta. And then earlier this year, this one is actually pretty recent, I decided to make a ricotta cheesecake with pandan flavoring, and then have a sort of a chai kind of milk glaze on top. I have a recipe down as well. I could probably link it for you guys so you can have a look. It was a pretty vibrant looking cake with the green color of the pandan. But I feel like this story, many people will be able to relate to the experience, because this just seems to happen so easily, even like in workplaces and all that. And I imagine people, unless they're like really pedantic about checking literally every single ingredient before they start baking out, like even workplaces, it might be pretty easy for this to kind of happen, because, you know, different kinds of mistake happens all the time, and it is normal, but, you know, you just have to try to take better precautions and procedures, I guess, to avoid them. So I was making the ricotta cheesecake, and when I finished making everything, I put it into the oven to bake in a water bath, and I was just like, yay, it turned out pretty good, I think, it's going well. Started cleaning up the stuff. Yes, I clean up now, compared to 4 years ago. So I stacked the stuff, and I was cleaning up the bowls, and I was like bringing them to the sink, and I was like, oh gee, what's this? And I looked at it, and so with the cheesecake, what I did for this one was, it was one of the methods where I separated yolks and whites, and I was beating the whites. So for these kind of recipes, when you're folding in the whites, you're often either adding the sugar into the yolk, or you're whipping it into the meringue. Either way, it'll go into the recipe. I usually write up like some sort of like base recipe to follow, and then I add more notes to it from my laptop as I go along if there was any changes. With this particular step, I think I just didn't write it, or I didn't really read it when I was doing it. I don't know if you know what I'm getting at. So I found a bowl of sugar. Well, I found a bowl of my sugar in the cake. So yeah, sugar wasn't missing from this cake, this ricotta cheesecake. And I think I also used the wrong ricotta as well. I was using rather than the creamy spread ones, I was actually using the actual chunk ones, which I blitzed up and smoothed out in the processor, which gave it a really gritty texture, I think. Leave down in the comments if you know the reason why I had like a gritty cheesecake with the cheese, because I'm actually really curious to know. Anyway, so what had happened was, when I was doing the yolk part, mixing it into the main batter, I had thought I would add the sugar to the meringue when I'm making it. So I did that. Then when I moved on to the meringue, for some reason, it wasn't even that long after that, I had thought I already put the sugar inside the cake mix. So overall, I skipped the sugar in both steps, meaning that I ended up with no sugar in the cake at all. And when I ate it, it was quite odd, because there was pandan, there was vanilla flavor, there was that bit of the sweetness from the glaze on top, but it was nowhere near sweet enough to like bring out all the flavors. And you'd be surprised, like having sweetness in your cake, not necessarily have to be sugar, but the sweetness in your cake is really crucial for sort of enhancing all other flavors. It's just like certain things like chocolate and all that, you wouldn't think like salt is necessary for it, but a little bit of salt, a little bit of coffee, like all these things can really enhance and bring out the other flavors and make it taste more like what it should be, which is one of the most interesting things I think about baking. Anyway, so what I ended up doing was, the cake turned out really pretty, as you can see in the video if you click into it, but it's just, it wasn't tasting right at all because of the sweetness, and I couldn't afford to make it again. So what I ended up doing was, after I finished taking all the pictures and all that, before I brought it to work, I basically used condensed milk that I had in the fridge left over from another recipe. Yeah, just doused the whole thing with it. So it didn't look exactly as pretty anymore, but it actually was received pretty well. Like, and I explained to people, like, either halfway through when they were eating a slice or before they ate a slice, depending on when I caught them. I explained to them that this was actually meant to have sugar in it. The condensed milk was more like an afterthought because it needed to make up for some of the sweetness in order for the cake to taste more normal. People actually kind of enjoyed it. They thought it was not a bad recipe, and I could have like tried to master it some more. So I probably would want to go back to trying another ricotta cheesecake with another flavor, and or even the same recipe, but just make sure I use the spreadable kind of ricotta to see if the texture will be much nicer, and maybe just tweak the recipe some more. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, let me know down below. But yeah, so that was the ricotta cheesecake incident. I forgot the sugar, and yeah, it was pretty sad. You know, it always happens with like recipes where you actually particularly find it like successful. You're like, wow, that looks so great, and then find out something like that. So yeah, if you like that story, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more that's coming for the 12 days of Christmas. And don't forget to share anything that this story reminds you of, or any funny story that comes to mind of baking incidences down in the comments, and I would love to read them all. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one.